let's make some sawdust. Hey, how's it going, bud? So today we're going to be making some flying spindle shafts, which are the big long ones. Hey JR, how's it going? Welcome in. Yep. So this is the last of the Turkish. So yesterday I was turning that Dymalux stuff. Which, this is 11 inches. So yeah, worked with Dymalux, I said is like rolling around in fiberglass insulation. So when I got turning it, I blew everything out, moved everything, swept up everything. Yeah, it's not pleasant. It's just very, very hard. And it's itchy because, you know, it's sharp little pieces of plastic flying through the air. You know, I'm wearing a dust mask, got my safety goggles on, got my face shield on. And then I'm constantly grabbing my blower because, you know, I have hair on my arm, so it wants to stick in my arm hair. You know, if you had one of those fancy turning Tyvek type suits, it wouldn't be so bad. But I'm not willing to spend $200 for a little long sleeve shirt. So this shaft has a larger diameter. So it's like 5/16 rather than a 1/4 inch. So it's only, you know, a 1/16 bigger, but it's bigger. Well, welcome back. Yeah, these are for the shows. Yep. This is the last of the show Turks. I got them cut out a few days back, and then I've just been so busy doing other things. So I did another batch earlier. This batch we got 2, 4, 6, like 10 or 12. These aren't a real big seller, but if I don't have them, people ask for them. So, in a normal show, I'll sell a handful of them. I dissuade a lot of people from buying them if they're just starting out. Yeah, so these are for plying or for art yarn. So the spindle is big, so it stores a lot. So, you know, if you spin up, you know, a 4-ounce ball, you do that 3 times and you want to apply those 3 together, 12 ounces will fit on the spindle. And with plying, you don't need a lot of twist compared to spinning. And then also for big chunky art yarn, but that's about all it's good for. This one's iffy. I'll be honest with you. Might be alright. A lot of it is shattered. Let's check it. I hate to do it. Yeah. So we'll try that again. Hey Murray, how's it going? Yeah, so we're just tuning in, returning Hard Maple. Nope, I'm using the same ones I always use. I'm spending a little bit more time with the roughing gouge. So Vicky is in the shop. We're having a sale, so she's gathering everything, making sure we got everything for packaging. Woohoo! No, she's been okay. She's been having a rough time sleeping. I'm sure we all know what that's like. Yeah. It's getting to the point of production run that we're getting kind of tired and ready for it to be over with. When you start neglecting, you know, home stuff because you're busy doing this kind of stuff. Very rarely. Once in a while, she'll take a bedtime one, half a one. But she'll only do that after she had a couple days when she couldn't sleep, so. Well, it's pretty much a moot point. They're going to be legal in November, so. Very long chopstick. Yep, drop spindles are the epitome of simple machines. In fact, it was a very early simple machine. It's just a flywheel and a shaft, and then and an axle. I like spinning wheels better. Yep, so these are the last Turkish that I'm making for the shows. Hello, welcome in. And then I still have, I want to make up a bunch more Russian supported and a few more Tibetan for the shows. I got to work on Top Worlds. I decided to wait till tomorrow to spark up the CNC machine. Let the upstairs neighbors sleep a little bit for once. And then, yeah, concentrate on sanding and finishing and all that fun stuff. Yes, this is not a CNC machine. Yep. Just a little bit wobbly, yep. Just a bit outside. Yeah, the plying spindle shafts have a much larger failure rate. Hey E, welcome in. You only get one set of eyes. I'm even wearing earplugs. Of course, there are, yes. Vezes are cool. Of course, my earplugs are Bluetooth headsets, so I got Beast of Burden playing in my head right now. Going classic rock today. What's up, babe? Nothing? Give me 1 second here. Alright. Let's try that again when you realize I have headphones in and I got an extractor. What's up?
Yeah.
Alright. Making some iron casting today? Nice. I'll find it. Just gotta remind me. Remind me in an hour and a half when I stop streaming.
Okay, I'll try.
Make a note. Throw it on the laser. Yeah, we have some names. I tend to name things when I have more than one of them. Alright. Apparently I'm listening to Enter Sandman as well. Yeah, it could be part of it. I'm just sucking it up today, man. Lucy the Lathe? That's nice. It's a slow morning. I hate to sound like somebody might have done a little drinking last night. So, what's that?
A little drinking,
Very little.
like 3 ounces.
Well, it could have been the other things that happened, which might have been higher on it. But yeah, I'm running a little slow this morning. I'm not.
Yeah, actually we both are, which, yeah.
Oof.
I think the combination would be
Dehydrated,
dehydrated and having
alcohol, THC, yeah, those things kind of combined everything. Tina Turner.
So what is my experience?
Yeah. I don't know. Inbreeding? I don't know. Inbreeding? Sorry, that's my line. What's your problem? I don't know. Inbreeding? A little bit. You know, we did go up for breakfast and had a crab cake Benedicts, which are really good. So, yeah, right now, Don't Bring Me Down by ELO is playing. Which makes me want to, listen to Mr. Brightside. But, this song at least gets me to say Bruce. Alright. This one is Split. I even slept in. I didn't wake up till 6:30 this morning. I gotta take a little bit more off the top there. Yep. Well, today's Sunday, so since we went out for breakfast, I just drove to work today. It's not that I'd be too hungover to walk. It's just I really don't want to. So this is literally my recovery day. I'm just not recovering from walking. I'm gonna yell. Hey Vicky,
Yeah.
do you love me?
Yeah.
Can you make coffee?
Sure.
Thank you. See, I make coffee like 6 days a week. Right? I make coffee here about 6 days a week. Yeah. So if I wasn't streaming, I'd just make it, but. So I got 3 more that need the shafts, and then I'll make a couple extra. Because right now I have none in stock, so. So I used a hammer and a nail to get that little piece out. When you get your lathe, it'll come with a push-out rod that you can put in the hole in the back and push things out. Except for I'm right against the wall because I don't really work on the left-hand side very much. So it looks silly, but that's the reason why, because I got a wall there. Trying to think if there's anything fun and exciting that happened since yesterday's stream. I don't think there was. I guess it would have been a stream 2 days ago. Yesterday I didn't. Well, no, I did stream yesterday. Did I stream yesterday? Yeah, I did. Wow. Maybe I didn't. I'll have to look. My days are just blending together. So we're probably going to work probably a half day today. Maybe a little bit longer. We did bring a frozen pizza for lunch. So we're just phoning everything in. It's Sunday. Sunday's supposed to be the day of rest. Yes. Unless you're Jewish. Then the Sabbath would have been Saturday. How many of these do I make in a day? We're in production mode right now. We're getting ready for some shows, some festivals. So today, usually, I don't know, between 12 and 50. I make a bunch of different things. Lots of spindles, but thank you so much for the sub. So we are turning shafts for Turkish drop spindles that are used to spin yarn. But if you want to think they're chopsticks or magic wands, I'm okay with that. Drumsticks. All basically spindle turned objects. They'd be pretty small for drumsticks. As far as the diameter goes. I mean, this is hard maple. It would make a good drumstick. You know, and it does have a finial on the top, you know. I mean, we can grab two of them and do paradiddles if you want. I mean, hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, these are pretty big. Most of the ones I make these are 11 inches. Most of the biggest ones I make are like 8. So these are kind of even goofy looking for people who spin. Expensive petroleum. So this piece is not very straight. So we'll see. And there you go. Could be worse. My name is Scott Snyder. My initials are SS. You have to really think about fonts when you initial things. I think, well, I think the wood's pretty fluid at one point in time. It took me years to be able to say I'm turning a shaft without giggling. I mean, handwork. Yikes. I'm having flashbacks to when I first got carpal tunnel at the bindery. It's a secret. So I was thinking about long time ago. I was thinking about making a logo, and since Snyder is Dutch, I thought having a windmill design for a logo would be awesome. And then I'm like, oh, I could take my initials and make them into, the prop of the windmill. And then I thought, yeah, probably not such a good idea. Yeah, this is paste wax. I've used beeswax in the past where you would heat it up and mix it with mineral oil to make it more creamy. More spreadable. Yeah, I've got nothing against beeswax. This is a little bit easier to source. Life's too short not to have innuendos. Honey, did you start a pot?
I did.
Okay. Okay. I'll make another shaft and then I'll go check. Just as long as you never have to move. Yes, I'm in the United States. I'm in Wisconsin. That's why I have such a horrible Midwestern accent. My problem is I don't think it's bad because I'm not close enough to Minnesota to have, their accent, don't you know? Their somewhat Canadian accent. She says she started the coffee, so I'm willing to go get my own coffee. I just didn't want to walk to an empty pot. From Pennsylvania? Yeah. Well, considering I'm Snyder, that's not a bad guess, you know? Being all Pennsylvania Dutch and such. Yeah, I went to college in Upper Michigan, and if I'm in Upper Michigan for 5 minutes, I get a really bad Yooper accent. I mean, you get the Snyder of Hanover, the Snyder of Berlin, and they're not associated. You remember that. Yeah, when I get to the East Coast, I have to get some Snyder chips. The pretzels are all over, but the chips are not. So you went to Kentucky? Oh, yeah. We do a lot of shows, East Coast, Southeast, south, usually east of the Mississippi. And the worst accent to understand for me is Southern Illinois. I don't know why. See if we can get my phone charging. There we go. So yeah, I've never been out to the West Coast, and we're doing a show in Dixon, California by Sacramento. So we'll see how bad accents are out there. I don't think they'll be bad, but I might have some flashbacks of Saturday Night Live with the Californians. Baconators are good. It's my sandwich of choice. It's like it was invented by Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Hey Andy, welcome in. I'm not sure how the Baconator would take over the tri-state area, but I'm sure it could. Yeah, the prices are crazy. Hey man, how's it going? Welcome in. So we're turning some plying shafts for Turkish drop spindles. Yeah, I think I'll do one more after this, and then we'll start turning some top whirls. And then I do have some Russian support spindles I'd like to get to today as well. So we'll see how much we can get that packed in the next hour. Yeah, I mean, with the show coming up really close now, we're starting to eat more at fast food restaurants, but we pretty much, they're too expensive these days, so we've been eating at home a lot. Not to brag, but our Aldi just started carrying tofu. Vicky found it this week. She was looking for Braunschweiger, but she came home with tofu. Yeah, about as communist as Tetris. Don't ask me where I get my plywood from. I got this crazy idea that I want to live to, as long as possible. So I have to stop eating like a teenager every day. Yeah, it's a complicated. It's made out of soybeans and water. Man, I hope I don't die at 50, considering I'm 51 already. No, so as far as the tofu goes, you know, for a pound block, it's less than $1.50, and it's not bad. I mean, I'm not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, but I mean, I put some hoisin sauce on it and some soy sauce, and have it with either stir-fried vegetables, or I've been doing baby portobello mushrooms and onions. Fry them up and then have that over rice. It's pretty darn good. Oof, I don't blame you. Yeah, and I'm type 2 diabetic, and I'm having some retinopathy issues. So that'll kind of scare you into eating a little bit better. Plus, I like having toes and feet and that kind of stuff. Plus, you know, as far as the tofu goes, you know, the soybean farmers in America kind of got screwed over. So any time you can, you know, edamame or soybeans, you know, you're helping, you know, the farmers who can't sell their crops. Oh yeah, people really eat chicken feet, absolutely. Hey, not a problem, Andy. Have a good day. Yep, they're not my bag of tea, but yeah, you can buy them at Walmart. Trotter, yeah. Chicken paws. Now, even growing up, raising chickens, we didn't eat chicken feet, but, you know. But as far as like chicken liver and chicken hearts, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, it's Thank you, my love.
Does it work?
It does. I got a coffee delivery.
Sweet enough. I actually didn't add.
You didn't add any
I
sweetener.
didn't. No, I didn't add a full packet. I did add, most of the packet.
But I love you guys too. Yeah, what food is normal to you might not be normal to somebody else. And yeah, chicken feet aren't my thing, but I wouldn't eat a guinea pig unless I was in Peru, I grew up eating, we raised meat rabbits, so I grew up on rabbit, and, I never thought twice about it, because that's just how life was. And then I was probably 15, had my girlfriend over to dinner, and apparently I learned really quickly that not everybody eats rabbit, and I may have destroyed her heart and soul for the remainder of time. Yeah. So we grew up. We also had goats. So we had some alpine goats and some Nubian goats. And we never ate them. We would drink the milk. We'd milk them, but. But every year there was a Greek family that would come up and buy the kids and butcher them in the backyard. And then, 40 years later, I, go to an Indian restaurant and realize that goat is frickin' delicious. So, there you go. It could have probably been the way it was prepared. Yeah, you'll see goats on sheer cliff faces, like nibbling on a little bit of grass growing in the cracks. Yeah. Yeah, there's a wide range in duckiness considering, tame ducks versus wild ducks. And, well, I gotcha. Growing up, we had a little game farm. So we also had pheasants. So yeah, pheasant has a way different flavor than like a duck or a goose. Hey Janmar, how's it going? Welcome in. So after this one, we're going to switch over to some top whirls, which is pretty exciting. I know. I can hardly wait. I got a bottle of duck fat at home. Yep, this is boring ASMR. We're going to be working on some top whirls. I think I got about a dozen to make, and then we'll do some Russians if my feet hold out. We got like 40 minutes left in the stream, something like that. So. I'm taking a big piece of wood and making it into a smaller piece of wood. We'll go deliver these to the sanding area. These are the gears on the top. With the shaft. Alright. Check. We only got one printer running this morning. So we're printing TPU. These are also Turkish spindles. So 4 of these make up one spindle. This is glow-in-the-dark pink. Got the same fan running. Nice. Yeah, so for the next shows coming up, I can show you this. So we use a mineral oil based finish on these. So we dunk them, bring them up, let the mineral spirits soak into the wood and have the excess drop into the pan. And then after a day or so, we'll put them in rags to dry. And then when they're completely dry, these are just went in the rags today. The Walter White of wood. Hopefully the beginning of the series, not the end of the series. Okay, yeah, so these are top whirls. So these are ready for, weighing, and I'll put the business name on the bottom. And then these get stained, and these do get a glaze put on top. And then, yeah, so these are done, so. On the bottom's the business name, the wood type, and the weight of the spindle. In both metric and imperial. So these are all ready for the show. Plus, I was talking about yesterday about how I was making all those Russians out of that Dymilux. So I made the majority of these yesterday. So this is resin impregnated, basically dyed birch ply. These are all for spinning yarn. And then, yeah, so those are Russian. This is a Tibetan, so this is a two-piece design. Got some more over here. So, yeah, so we got this stuff for the show, too. Hey, B! Welcome. Yeah, they are pretty once they're done. And then these are also for the shows. So we have a ton of sanding. Yeah, you can also have sword fights with them. The possibilities are endless. Yeah, I'm very happy here. So these have already been rounded over. So these are cut out on the CNC machine. I used to cut them out by hand on the scroll saw, and then I turned them on the lathe to core them and round them all over. Then I glued them onto these shafts. So I have a piece of tubing here. This is a spacer, so I can put it into the chuck. So the reason I have this tubing is to prevent marring the shaft surface. So these have already been sanded. I'm just giving a quick once over. I take my skew, I'm going to mark the center. So I just made a little divot. Now I got this high-tech drill bit holder. The hardest part is breaking the rubber band on the bottom. All right, then we're gonna flip it over. So by using that spacer, I can grab that to pull this out. This piece of tubing is pretty new, so I grabbed another piece, which is much older. So I'm taking out the live center I normally use, and I made this one. So instead of having a point, it's got a drilled out area that'll fit the shaft in. Now when I lay these out, I mark where the bottom is. So we're going to come with the skew, mark the bottom. So we're going to get rid of that pencil line. And I'm going to come up to the top, and I'm going to come in and clean off this area where I glued the top to the bottom. So I wipe it off really quick with a rag, but there's always some residual glue. So we're going to clean that up. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. We're going to come up with the gouge, and we're just going to put a slight taper on these. So the taper does two things. The most important thing it does is it lets me true this up so I can make it perfectly straight. And the other thing it does is it makes the diameter on the bottom smaller. It makes it easier to turn. Alright, now that we're done shaping and sanding, I'm going to cut off the bottom. I'm going to make a little taper here. It's going to come to a blunted tip. So it's going to come to a point, but it's not going to be a sharp point. Alright, I'm going to set it in my hand, I'm going to spin it. What I'm checking for is the balance. This is running nice and smooth. Now, if it was out of balance, it would be bouncing around in my hand, which this is not. So I do pin balance these, so just like on your tire, on your car, you know, you get a new tire, you got to get it balanced. I go through the procedure in balancing it. I actually add weights, I'll add pins to the bottom. And then these get a cup hook on the top. So I line this up with one of the staffs, and then, yeah, so it's kind of a little bit over to line up with that notch. So, yeah. It's ready for the next steps. So we got a bunch of different types. This one much thinner, and then it's got laser engraving on the top. Nice little mandala. So, the whirl is made out of Baltic birch plywood. And the shafts are birch as well. So the reason I made this is when you're making a ton of these, after a while, your fingers will start getting sore grabbing into the cup hook. So I just made a little slot here. So we're kind of like in a middle stage. So this whirl here starts out looking like this. And then I put it on the lathe and I core it. And run over all the edges. So these will get stained. So the 3 stains that we offer a pecan, which is a little golder than this color, very light, and then a gunstock, which is orange. And then also a red mahogany, which is a dark brown color. When I first started making these, I also sold them bare in the hopes that people would decorate them themselves. And, you know, I could sell them for cheaper because I didn't have to spend the time staining and finishing them. But then I noticed that nobody was decorating them. They were just using them plain. So. Hey Ronald, how's it going? Hey, Lane. Layers are fun. So this is a MIDI size lathe, M-I-D-I. So it's not a little one, it's not a big one. Someday, yep. Now keep your eyes open on like Marketplace, or sometimes you can find a good deal on them. So that one's got clockwork on it. Now I didn't mask the surface on this when I made it. So you can see how it's kind of all covered up. Kind of soot. So I sanded the top now. Now you can kind of see the detail in it. Yeah, for this kind of stuff, you couldn't mask it. You could put masking tape over the top. And then when you're done, you could peel the masking tape off, and then you won't have that kind of brown color on the top. But I have to sand these anyways, so just a little bit easier that way. I guess that was my cue to replace the sandpaper. It was my Laverne and Shirley moment where all I could do was wave at it. Right? It does in fact suck. What else can you expect from an extractor? Now we have a waffle. Sanding definitely makes a difference. What does that thing do that you picked up first? This? I'm going to assume it's this. So, this has a hole that is slightly bigger than the diameter of the doweling on this, right? And then there's a screw that sits dead center. So, as long as that's perfectly straight, I could take this and push it over the top and it'll mark the center of the dowel. I made this like 13 years ago in a hurry to see if it would work. And if it worked, I was going to make something nicer. Well, I got lazy. Yeah. The beach will follow you home. So, yeah. So to make sure that hole is perfectly centered, you drill the little hole first, right? And then you use the hole that you drilled for the screw. You use that as a pilot hole for the bigger hole. Easy peasy, you know, and then you don't have to worry about it. That's why you got to go to Lake Superior. Then you get like just big rocks, more pebbles than sand. Yes, there's sand, but there's a lot of pebbles. Now, that's one way of marking the center. You know, you could use a pencil too and put it in there to find where it is. Depending on what kind of mood I'm in, I'll use my skew as well. Yes, I am in Wisconsin. I'm in North Fond du Lac. Haven't gone rock hunting in a long time. So, yeah, this one is, we call it a checkerboard, so it's like just diamonds radiating out. So yeah, so I could set this, push that in to find the center, or you could take the skew. I'm setting on my tool rest, and then I'm going to steer it right in there. I'm going to aim for just about the center and pull back a little bit. So I set it in an angle, then I tip it square and push it in. there's always a little touch up here and there. At the angle first, I put it up at an angle so I can find the hole that I just put in it. So I kind of rest it in. If I just go straight in, I might not exactly be in that little divot, and then it could kind of bounce off. We have a pentacle. He wants a metal lathe. Can't blame him. So the big difference between like a wood lathe and a metal lathe is a wood lathe tends to be belt driven, where a metal lathe will be gear driven. So metal lathes, they have to be a lot more torquey. Yeah, it's electric. So this little guy here runs off 110 volts. But the larger wood lathes will be 220. Yeah, the metal lathe, it's still got a motor, but you're driving a gear rather than a belt. So you're going to have a lot more torque, a lot more power. Like this one, I'm starting up, I'm stopping it with my hand. Hey Mini Art, how's it going? Up here is it's mineral. No, it's not. It's paste wax. So I've used beeswax in the past. Yeah, these don't actually get waxed because they're going to be stained. So for these, I'm going to set the hook. I'm going to set the hook to the back. So default mode is, pentacle. So we're going pagan right off the bat. That is a Doctor Who reference. Absolutely. Hiding out. Yeah, so these are kind of my lower price top whirls. They work well. They just don't have like expensive materials. Yes, it's a magic wand with an optional splash guard. I don't think this. You think this looks like a turtle? So, let me show you one that's done. So what's for dinner? Dinner today, lunch we're having frozen pizza. Really phoning it in. A cheap Aldi's pizza for lunch. And then for dinner, I think I'm going to be doing tofu. Just to make Dion proud of me. So, yeah, when they're done... It's okay. So, yeah. So, gun stock. business name, weight of the spindle on the bottom. So gun stock, this is the golden pecan color, and then this is the red mahogany, which sure looks brown to me. How do I cut the gears? I used to cut them by hand on the scroll saw. I did that for several years, and then I started cutting them out on the laser engraver, and then I would have to glue 2 layers together to get the thickness I wanted. And now I cut them out on this little CNC machine. Yeah, it's taken a lot of years to get these toys, I tell you. Have you used Purple Heart? Sure. Sorry, I ran away. So yeah, here's a piece of Purple Heart. Not sure how it got its name, but yeah. This chunk was only $8.30. They're giving it away. Yeah, Purple Heart is one of the cheaper exotic woods. It's a pain in the butt to work with. It likes burning. Is there a particular stone you need to get for your bench grinders? So your bench, does your grind? Do you have wheels on your grinder now? Because whatever wheels you have will work. Like the white oxide wheels are fine. You just have to make sure you keep them faced and keep the guards on. They don't explode very often, but if you get a catch, chunks can fly off. I went to CBN, but just starting out, you don't have to do that. Get whichever wheels you can. I mean, I used the ones that came with my grinder for quite a few years. I don't even remember what the grits were. Right now I'm running a 180 and a 600 grit. I'm using the 180 way more than the 600. You haven't gotten one yet? Yeah, usually when you get a grinder, they will come with... Well, at least here they do. Yeah, you don't need something overly coarse or overly... Fine. Can you sharpen using a whetstone and doing it by hand? You absolutely can. It's going to take a while. So a lot of times with lathe tools, you want a burr on them. So don't think you have to go crazy sharp with them. Yeah, absolutely. Now, so if you're going to be using an angle jig, like, I showed the ones that I use that sit on the wheel, but I can only use these because the CBN wheel is not going to change shapes. It's basically a metal, pretty much a diamond wheel, except for it's cubic boron nitrate. But if you're going to set the angle, you would want something that you would set on the table of the grinder to kind of eyeball your angle in there, because this is going to radically change as your wheel gets smaller. What you can also do is put your item onto the plate, bring it up to the wheel, and then adjust the height until it matches up with the angle that's already on your tool. That makes sense. Add a little lemon squeezy and you're all good. Now I'm going to say this half jokingly, but when you first start turning, you're going to learn how to sharpen a lot. You're going to start out by learning how to sharpen. I may have sharpened for a while on a belt sander. when I was between grinders, yeah. So, since I was using that resin impregnated wood yesterday, I sharpened everything this morning. And I sharpened multiple times while cutting with this stuff. I mean, it's pretty, but it's very, very hard. But you know, that particular wood type, I prefer working when I'm by myself and I can put on all the productive stuff and just make a big mess and then clean it up. And that's when it wasn't too bad. But yeah. Hey Sullivan, how's it going? Welcome in. So today we're making some top whirls. Getting towards the end of the stream here. I think I got another got like 8 more to go. So yeah, so Vicky mentioned that she couldn't find a file for laser engraving for a spindle. I'm like, not a big deal. We got a bunch of other ones. And of course we sold one that now I got to go track down that file. It's not a big deal. It's just... Yeah, you have a great day too. You can always redesign it. It's just, I have to make 40 specific top whirls for a wholesale order that's going to get picked up at my first show. So I've been avoiding making them. So tomorrow is going to be day one of cutting them out. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is the flower of life pattern. So this is all just made up of intersecting circles. So you see this pattern quite a bit in like, well, you see it on stained glass. You'll see it in like quilts. Use it in quilting quite a bit as well. Chip carving, so you'll see it in woodwork. So it's a design you would lay out with a compass or a protractor. I always get those mixed up because they always sell them in sets. And I'm not in 3rd grade, so don't have one. Pretty. So yeah, I'm introducing these at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. These are 1/2 inch thick, which are bigger and heavier than they've been in the past. So these are kind of designed for people just starting out. So these are in the same price range as top rolls that people make by going to Hobby Lobby and buying some toy wheels and just gluing them on dowels. So. Yep, so these are definitely built to a price point. So these are like the Honda Civic of Top Worlds. How am I? I'm doing okay. A little tired today. It's Sunday. Hey, Donnie. Yep, so you're just tuning in. We are turning some Top World drop spindles. These are called gear spindles. Should they have been called sprocket spindles? I don't know. This one looks like a waffle, so... So I'm actually considering phasing out the top whirls probably in the next 5 years. They just don't bring me joy like the Turkish do. I mean, they sell okay, but... I've been making more supported spindles these days, so we'll see. I would have to go through my stock first. Hey Jose, how's it going? I think I need coffee. So yes, the gear spindles, yep, the top whirls. Yeah, I might make them till the end of time, but yeah. Hello. Hey, Happy. Nice. Yeah, we were very lucky to find this workspace. It's about 3/4 of a mile away from my house, which is amazing. Is that most of the stuff that's going out tomorrow?
Yes. Yes.
Besides the alpaca?
Yeah, well, and then I have to make sure all of it's on the table here.
Okay.
And it has to, it's drying right now. So.
You like
I'm
yours?
gonna actually pull the boxes and put them together today,
Okay.
maybe, also. It'll help us tomorrow.
Definitely. Yep, so the front area, this is packaging and TV watching, I suppose. So those racks have all our product in. Thank you so much, Leo, for the sub. Yeah, come out here. We got our laser engravers over here. We got the 3D printers over here. Little photography area. Swing over here. Table saw, band saw, CNC machine, router table, chop saw on that side. So over here is laser engraver, laser engraver, laser engraver. Then that's Vicky's drilling station, Vicky's sanding station, Vicky's layout station. I got a little sanding station in the back there as well. My little drill press, scroll saw. Back room, I got the drum sander and the extractor and the planer. So no sawdust in sight. There's wood chips on the floor there. I just cleaned up this area yesterday. Spent a lot of time. See, look at all the mess I made already today. Hey T, welcome in. Привет. Alrighty. Oh no, it was a mess before I cleaned. I was turning this resin impregnated stuff, and it just got on everything. Yeah, the last few days I've been doing a bunch of cleaning. We're in like production mode right now. We got some festivals coming up, and things have gotten a little out of hand. So yeah, now it's very clean compared to what it was. Yep, so I got the big extractor hooked up to this. This is primarily to catch the fine sawdust. It's really not, it's great that it catches some of the wood chips, but that's not why it's there. And then Vicky's got a little portable dust extractor for her sanding station. And then I've got another little extractor for the bandsaw. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 5 shop vacs in here, attached to multiple things, depending on what it is, you know. Hey James, welcome in. So we rent this space, so I can't start putting holes in the wall to put in a more centralized vacuum system, extractor system. But this will work. Yeah, so Vicky's just getting a jump on packaging tomorrow because we are having a sale. We're getting ready for a show sale, and we spent a lot of money on materials. So this is also the clock, the pocket watch gears. So as much as I hate cleaning, I work much better in a somewhat organized space. I don't mind making a mess, I just have to clean it up. When I worked from home, my shops were horrible. You couldn't walk, you know. But now that we're in a bigger space, it's kind of nice to have everything kind of having its own space. Right? I would tell you about all the features, but that would be complicated. Too many complications. This is a sandpaper that I love. This is Gator Flex Films. It's kind of got a plastic back to it. But my local store, the Menards that I buy it at, is out. But they did have, you know, these round Velcro-backed ones, I think, on sale. So it's 5-inch, and you can get 5 of them for 53 cents a package. So it wears out really quick, but it's a lot less expensive than what I've been buying. Use that paper? That's good stuff. So I used to use, 3M used to make a sand blaster. That's kind of their line of sandpaper. That was a plastic film, where it's like rubbery plastic, and it was perfect for the lathe. And they discontinued it, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago. It's a sad day. That is it for the top rolls this morning. Let's make a couple Russians. Let's do some cherry Russians. So this is paste wax. Yes. Yep. These are all my templates and story sticks. Well, I guess not all of them, but yeah, some of them. All right, we're gonna mark the centers on these. So now we're going to make Russian supported spindles. So this is going to be the shape of them. So I'm going to set my calipers to my template here. And I have changed the design. I don't cut, I changed to that shape, so not a big deal. we're gonna chuck up this chunk of cherry. It is a fraction oversized to fit in there. So we're gonna start the lathe up and we're just going to set it in. I mean, it was close. It didn't take off much at all. Alright, so we're going to take the largest diameter. So this is oversized, so we can true it up. So I'm going to grab the caliper here. This is the largest size. Now we're going to take a roughing gouge. We're going to bring it down to that diameter. So I brought the diameter down to about between 3/8 and a ½ inch. I'm going to back off. I'm just seeing how it's running, and it's running true, so that's good. Grab some coffee. Now we're going to take our story stick. So this is the overall length. Line it up on the back here, come up to the top, transfer some lines over. So this story stick matches up with this template. So that's the beginning of it. That's where it changes from, the egg shape on one side to the other side. And then the diameter there. So we got those drawn out. I'm going to take my skew and lay in this line here. So I'm just roughing in this shape. Leave about a ½ inch on the end here. We're actually going to use this carbide tool. So we're making Russian supported spindles that are used to spin yarn. And hello. So if we lay it over the top. Now we have a taper. We have a little bit of a swoop here, and then going into a taper. So we're going to start by using the roughing gouge. My name is Scott. welcome. Mark where the end is. Alright, now you can see with the taper how the diameter gets smaller and smaller. So I'm starting out with my tool like this, and then when it gets shorter and shorter, I'm adjusting my handle to keep it still in the center there. It's looking good. We'll do a little bit of sanding. So the more expensive ones I sand down to 600 grit. These I bring down to 220. Well, this is cherry. That's perfectly fine, especially since we're going to burnish it. So we got some wood chips. I'll hold them on there. Just burnish the surface. So this is also going to get a mineral oil finish, but I'm going to put some wax on. Aha! Just remember, fezzes are cool, as are bow ties. Now we'll finish up the front. So I made this little collet out of TPU. Which allows me to clamp this into my chuck without damaging the shape of it. Now I'm not tightening it really, really tight because I'm not concerned about getting it perfectly centered. So I'm leaving a little bit of wiggle room. I'm going to let it self-center itself. So you can see it's got a little wobble. But once I put the sandpaper on there, everything trues up. We're going to give this a test spin. That's nice and smooth. So spin, spin, spin. Still spinning, and it's done. Nice. So Russians will spin fast, but they won't spin long. You're a wizard, Harry. Leviosa. Nope. So I have it centered. I stop touching it. Alright, so I have it centered, right? The tailstock is not engaged right now. going to start it up, and then I'm going to put it in. So there's going to be a little wiggle there. That's fine. Put my tailstock in. So I got a live center, so there's a pin in there that's spinning. And the whole idea is to try to get this centered to itself. So that diameter that we put in there is just this diameter right here. That's the largest spot. Hey buds, how's it going? Welcome in. Hey, Austin. Oh, welcome in. So I'm going to back the tailstock off and just look to see how it's running. It's running good. No vibration. That's what we're looking for. So that's why I taper that diameter down right away so I can look for vibration issues. Now, if there is vibration, I still have some wiggle room on here, so I can shorten this and try putting the live center back in to try to get it to run perfectly. So we are making Russian supported spindles that are used to spin yarn. You sell them or something? Yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah, I make a bunch of different spindles. I'm a spindle maker. I make fiber tools for a living. Yeah, this is my job. I guess it's gonna have to be after, because I'm completely out of Phoenix feathers. Gonna have to hang out in some mysterious alley to find some. Yep, so I've been a full-time spindle maker for a little over 13 years now. So, yes. We're making Russian-supported spindles right now. I've been trying to Leviosa stuff with this, and I have had no success whatsoever. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, I don't know. Yep, so supported spindles are good for spinning yarns that are very, very thin. When you're using a drop spindle, it's hanging in the air. The weight of the spindle limits the size of the yarn that you can spin. This takes that out of the equation. How do you know how to shape it and all? Well, I break it down. So I designed the overall shape. I actually kind of roughed it out by hand, and then I used CAD software to make my template. So I take my template I have, and then I transfer that over to sizes with calipers. And then basically I take away everything that doesn't look like a Russian supported spindle. So we're just about done with this one, but yeah, I'll walk through the next one, what we're doing. Yep, I got 3 calipers set for this one. No vibration, running nice and smooth. Yes, so this is the style, right? I make a lot of Turkish drop spindles. That's the design, the shape, the style of it. I make Tibetan spindles, which is a supported spindle that has 2 pieces rather than 1 piece. We like naming things, you know? Alright. So we're starting out with a piece of cherry. So I'm starting out with doweling, basically to save myself some time and limit the amount of waste I'm making. So if I would start out with a square piece, I would be making a lot of wood chips. If I cut it down into an octagon, it would make less wood chips. So by starting out with doweling, it just saves me some time. Because sometimes your time is, you know, you don't have to start from scratch, you know. Your time is worth something too. Putting in my live center. So it looks like it's running okay. So we're gonna cut this shape out of this piece of wood. So I went through, I got my caliper set, so this is my largest diameter here. And then I have one set for the bottom of this cove and one set here. So those are my 3 reference points. So we'll start by bringing this down to the biggest diameter. We're going to start out with a roughing gouge. So I brought the back diameter down to just about a 1/2 inch. Now we're gonna back out. We're gonna look, and it's running nice. There's a hair of vibration, but that little bit, I still have the majority to remove yet, so it should be fine. So now we're going to take a story stick that just has those dimensions, just lines. I'm going to transfer over the lines I need. There we go. So we're going to start making this bottom part here. So I'm just going to take my skew, lay it down, use it as a scraper. Switch it over, come back. We're just roughing this in. Now we're going to make this cove here, so I'm going to set my carbide in. Then we're going to use the other calipers, see how we're doing on the middle there. What?
In my chair with the computer, and I feel this on my back. I turn around and go, that was weird, and it kind of.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if it was a muscle spasm or, but it definitely.
We'll call it a muscle spasm.
It definitely sent a shiver through me though.
It was just Charlie saying hi. Yeah, is Dion with us right now? Vicky just got tapped on the back.
And it was like literally like right on my shoulder blade. It was
Uh-huh.
weird. It wasn't like.
But it's pretty forceful though, huh?
It was.
Ah.
That's why I thought,
All right,
that was my first
I'm gonna.
thought, but then I'm like,
All right, I'm gonna get some more coffee. Hang on a second here. Yes, tell your story. What just happened?
didn't everybody just hear it? So I was sitting in the front room on the computer, and I feel it like a double tap, like just under my left shoulder blade. And I went, ooh, and I turned around. That was weird. It was very strange. And then my mind's like, it was probably just a muscle spasm, but it definitely kind of freaked me out. So, yeah. Let's see, any comments to that? Hello, Dion. Hello, Dion. Oh my gosh. You know, we really don't. Definitely a ghost, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could have been a muscle spasm. Like a muscle, like a tweaking muscle. I don't know. But yeah, I'm a very logical person, so I will find something logical before I say, oh, it was a ghost. But yeah, it did kind of give me the heebie-jeebies, so it probably wasn't a muscle spasm. I don't know, honestly. Hello, Tim. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, no, it was one of those things where I explained my story, and I came around to see if there were comments. So, and then Dion said hi, and I said, well, hello. Yeah.
So my coffee cup gets a face diaper.
Face mask.
Yes, a face mask. It does a very good job of keeping the sawdust out of it. All right. I know, right? Yeah, normally she doesn't. Get messed with. Unlike some people. Yeah. Oh, definitely. You know, I feel like I'm being watched in the basement, and that's fine. There's been nothing negative. You know, I saw that one shadow figure up here. But I feel it was just more of a, hey, what's up kind of thing. It wasn't negative, so. Who knows? It could just be Cybermen too, you know. I've seen that happen a million times. You know, I was shooting for 2 hours today. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it for 2 hours. I'm so tired. Now I'm waking up and we're 190 minutes in. So somewhere along the line, I gained an extra hour. Yeah, what can you do? Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, you know, I got all those top whirls done. I got all the plying spindles done. I mean, can't really complain. All right, so these are hard maple. Now, these are usually a little bit oversized. Just a hair. I mean, so when I ream that out, when I'm holding it, my thumbs are not engaged underneath, so I'm just kind of cupping. So if something catches, I'm not gonna take my thumbs with it. Yeah, so the maple is quite a bit harder than the cherry. So we are turning Russian supported spindles on the wood lathe today. We're gonna back the tailstock off, see how it's running. Looks good. Yeah. I have not. Life snuck up on me and I got way into show season production mode, which happens. Because I need to get the business stuff done. I don't know, you'd have to ask them. Okay, 65 other people, why aren't we talking? I think a lot of time it's more of an ASMR kind of thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll ramble. I don't know. Vicky just got touched on the back by something. And it's Sunday, so it's kind of laid back today. So the Bad Wolf is a reference to Doctor Who. Because I'm a nerd. I did such a good job cleaning yesterday. I don't know where my channel locks are today. Yeah, they'll pop up. I do enjoy myself some sci-fi. Now, if you could take sci-fi and mix it with Muppets, that's even better. Then you got Farscape. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm neurodivergent. I've got frickin' decades of me beating myself up. Here we go. So I do have the center marked here, so I'm eyeballing the center. I'm getting it lined up. We'll turn it on and see how it's running. Yep. Why don't I make spinning tops like Beyblades? Well, yeah, I've been making drop spindles like a little over 13 years. I've been doing it full time. Yeah, this is kind of my thing. Hey, someone official, how are you today? Welcome in. Good to hear. So we're currently getting ready for 3 festivals. So in September we have, I think it's September 10th, around there, is Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. And then a couple weeks after that we'll be in Dixon, California for Lambstown Festival. And then at the end of October we'll be in North Carolina at SAF, which is in Fletcher, which is near Asheville. So, yep, so we are turning drop spindles. So we're at the point where I got most of the Turkish are pretty much done. That's what I'm best known for. So now I'm going back and I'm making all the other spindles. So yes, it's a very niche thing. But there's a demand for them. Not enough of a demand where you can have a whole bunch of big companies come in and make them. I mean, you can go on Temu right now and get a Turkish spindle. It's gonna be garbage, but you can get one there. So if it was popular enough for like big companies to do it, don't get me wrong, spinning wheel companies out there, there's a handful that, you know, make a lot of spindles. But if it was more of a commercial thing where everybody was using it, then I wouldn't be able to do this for a living. You know, don't I get bored only making spindles? Yeah, on occasion. But I also enjoy eating and having a roof over my head and paying my bills. So prior to this, I worked in factories for almost 20 years. And I am neurodivergent, and hell would be sitting behind a desk wearing a white collared shirt. That would be hell for me. What's the coolest thing that I've made? I don't know. I made a really big anti-disestablishmentarianism sign. That's pretty sick. So I did design a 3D printed Turkish spindle that's made out of TPU. It was the first time that I got a provisional patent. So that was the first thing I made that I could slap a patent pending on. I don't know. This is my work watch. This is an old one. I don't think it was that much. I think this is like a Series 3. Yeah, it is an Apple Watch. And it's got a silicone band on it, so if anything bad would happen, it would get ripped off. I'm not overly concerned about it. Have I made wooden guns or knives? No. Yeah, no, absolutely. Come on, focus. All right. Let's see. Okay, so this is a Russian spindle. It's the shape. It's where they came from. So making a Russian spindle has nothing to do with Ukraine. It's Colonel Sanders. I do a lot of I do have quite a few videos on my channel. It's where, yeah, my face is in easy view. I don't look like my voice. I suppose that's a good thing. I was always told I have a face for radio. It looks like my voice should be deeper. All right. Yeah, I think people think I'm a little bit younger than I am. Well, I am from Wisconsin, home of Harley Davidson. Hey, thanks, Mark. It is, I don't have air conditioning in the back part of the shop, so that would be why I have a sleeveless shirt on. Actually, today isn't bad. Today it's 72 degrees right now, so I'm guessing it's probably 74 in the shop. Well, let's check on the printers. I am 51. So, yay. Sawdust. Checking the printers, see how they're going. Cool. Yep, so this is printing TPU. And this is actually glow in the dark. Pink. Actually, let's... I need to put these in mineral oil, but that's where they're eventually going to show up. So yeah, so we're building up inventory for shows right now. Hey, honey.
Yeah?
Would you be willing to start the pizza?
Oh, yes, I can.
Or I can. I mean, I've only got I'm going to go till 1, so I got like 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left.
Water.
Sounds like I'm 30. Why, thank you. Yeah. People think I'm way younger than I am. All right, so we're done making the Russians for now. I think we're gonna make a couple Turkish shafts. So I'm just gonna go move these really quick. I'll be right back. Sheer madness. All right. So I need to make some 8-inch shafts. So I'm just transferring over where things happen for the 8-inch. This will get me into the ballpark. And that does not, this is white oak. My dowel supplier wants to send me white oak. Not what I ordered, not what I want. But they're more expensive. I don't care, it's not what I ordered. Alright. Here we go. Alright, let's make some wood chips. Woo. Why don't you put the tailstock in first? All right. Have a great day. Yeah, I'm just about done here as well. Have a good day. Lee Mick, welcome in. Have a good one, guys. Yeah, I got like 2 of these to make, then I'm out of here myself. Definitely time for a break. All right, quite a bit of vibration on the top there, so we'll make this into a 6-inch rather than an 8. Yeah, and then after lunch, gonna get the TV going and just do a bunch of sanding and just have a bunch of background noise going. How much do these end up selling for? It varies. The Turkish spindles start at around 20, 25. And they go up to, well, if you want something custom made out of like ebony, up to 100, but normally between 25 and 50 for non-crazy, insane, exotic woods. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not super cheap, but I'm not super expensive either. Right? So yeah, so when I started making these, let me grab on this. All right, so here's a finished one. It's not sanded yet, but so I never wanted to. I looked when I started making these, and either they were super cheap or they were really expensive. There wasn't really a middle ground, and that's kind of where I decided I wanted to be. So I'm not making artisanal heirloom ones where, they're going to be, $100 or $150, and you're going to be scared to use it because you don't want to break it. That really wasn't my idea. And, it's been, over a decade, and my prices have not gone up that much considering the amount of inflation, how much everything else costs. And I'm not looking to expand. How long have I been doing woodworking before I decided to produce these? Well, I've been woodworking since, my dad brought home a scroll saw when I was 12, so I started making these in 2013. Prior to that, I was selling on Etsy starting in about 2008. Making little scroll saw signs, word signs, wooden toys, that kind of stuff. So, so let me grab this. I saw it. There it is. So I used to make a lot of this stuff. That was prior to like Hobby Lobby and Michael's. Pooping this stuff everywhere. So one of my friends, when I was making that, you need to make me a spindle. So I made her a spindle. I wanted to make sure it would work. So I went to the local yarn shop, got supplies, and learned how to spin to test it, and I kind of fell in love with it. So I had the skills to make these before I started making them, basically. So I already had the lathe experience. Problem important, took a lot of business from the US. Yeah. Now, like I said, I've been doing this for over 13 years. I built up a good reputation. I don't spend a ton on advertising. A lot of it's word of mouth. And you got to remember, just because you're known for something doesn't mean like you're making a ton of money doing that either. You know, I could outsource these to, you know, an outside supplier that would use the CNC lathes and poop them out. But it wouldn't have the quality control behind it, and people prefer having a handmade thing, as far as I'm concerned. You know? Actually, we're going to make this into an 8. It's a little bit shy, so I'm going to have to just change the shape a little bit back there. I was going to make a 7-inch just because it's easier, but I need 8-inch shafts. So let's take the time just to... There we go. So when I live stream, I'm usually either on the lathe or on the scroll saw. And the reason for that is I do a lot of other things as well. But there's a lot of moving around where, you know, if I can just have a static camera and work around it, it's just easier that way. Thanks, Carpenter. Much appreciated. You know, right now it's just production work, busy season, go, 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 go. You know. I mean, it used to slow down in the winters. It used to slow down quite a bit for me, which would allow me to do other things and work on other things. But over the last couple of years, I'm pretty much busy year-round now, which is fine. You know, it's all about finding a balance. But we don't want employees. We don't want to, you know, it's a small business. Hey, Emo, how's it going? I mean, if we weren't in production mode, I would not be doing this on a Sunday. Unless I planned on doing something, you know. Maybe I'd work on Sunday if I planned on going fishing on Monday. Yep. And I get that. I really do. Well, the more stuff I get done now, the more time I'll have to do other things later. Tall tales, my friends. Tall tales. Yeah, I think this is going to be my last shaft. Yeah, exactly. When things start settling down, I'll have time to do tutorial videos. Losing a lot. This is eating my sandpaper like crazy today. I gotta find my chicken wire to put in there. So on the infeed of the extractor, hey Tony, how's it going? There used to be a guard to make sure big stuff couldn't get in, which was fine. But if you suck up a piece of sandpaper, it'd get stuck on there. So I actually took that off, knowing that I'm careful on what I suck up. Very careful, make sure there's no metal. So. It's starting to get there.
Right.
Do I make fishing floats too? I do not. There you go. Yep. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out with me. And remember to be nice to people. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's a